Hello and welcome back. We have the partnership formation journey and are going to watch this video partnership formation journey.
I am Nicole Cirillo. I'm the Executive Director of IAVE, the International Association for Volunteer Effort. I think it starts in the beginning. I think it starts way before the partnership really even um, is discussed. I think it's that research and what I like to call due diligence, right? Is this partnership, is this organization aligned to my values? Is it something that I feel like I can actually contribute to their mission? And then do I feel like they can really advance my mission? Again, that mutuality, right? It's not just I'm going to be a service provider or I'm going to get services provided. It's how can our missions come together to really deepen mutually through our partnership. And that's research. That's sort of thinking about what the organization is, who they are, what type of issues they encounter in the world, and how they've performed in the past. That's a really essential part. I think that the second and I think probably most important thing is knowing what I will bring to that partnership. Some of the most helpful conversations I've had in my career, both as somebody who was a managed funds and managed foundations, and also was sort of the person sort of seeking partnership, philanthropic partnership. Some of the most important things, the valuable conversations I have is when people would tell me right away, you know, this is how I can make you do your job better, right? This is how my mission can really support how you show up in the world if you're a company, or how you continue your mission if you're a civil society or government. Doing that research, really knowing my value as an entity, as a nonprofit or as a corporation, going into that is really, really important, right? You always have to remember you have strength in that partnership. If you're looking at this as a win-win for both, you have to know
Guy,
what
it's
your
win-win,
strengths
no?
are and what you're contributing to that partnership. And again, as somebody who was in a past role as somebody who made decisions about philanthropy, I would often like the conversations that people would come in and say, you know what, I'm not really sure we're actually going to result in a partnership because we still need to really investigate how we can both work together. So being honest about that as well is I think the third step. It's being honest about where you might be able to contribute and where you see this partnership involved. So I think again, doing that research is really important, but knowing the value you bring and being confident about the value you bring to that partnership is really, really important.
So um, ano ba yung key takeaways doon sa narinig natin? Ano siya? Dapat yung partnership, nire-research siya, magkaroon ng re-research kung karoon ng due diligence, no? Pag-aralan yung iba't ibang partners, yung ano ba yung pwedeng maibigay natin doon sa doon sa isang partner. Ano yung ba yung mako-contribute natin, yung mission ng isang grupo at saka mission natin nag-aano ba, shared mission ba siya or shared goal ba siya? Yun. Yun yung ano natin sa video na yun. So, ito yung journey action. So, this is partner A journey at saka ito yung partner B journey. As you can see, ito yung end goal, magkaroon ng partnership agreement. But before that, ano siya? So what we've learned, dapat meron tayong alignment of interest, no? Yung problema, similar ba tayo na problem? Bakit natin ito ginagawa? Bakit natin kailangan ng solusyon? So kailangan natin makita dito at this part, yung understand alignment of interest. So yun, work yun ni A at saka ni B. Sarili nilang yung alignment nila. Kung okay, proceed tayo sa next. Itong agree on overarching vision. Pagkatapos naman pag okay yan, mag-agree ng common purpose at saka vision. Next would be agree sa specific objectives at saka sa mga activities. Then ito, mag-agree sa resources, roles, and responsibilities. Then sa structure na yung partnership. Saka na magkaroon ng partnership agreement. So magkaroon ng memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement. And then, okay, so meron tayong example dito of a blockage to partnership formation. Blockages to partnership can take many forms. One partnership involving a large NGO entailed some difficult internal discussions with the communications department, who insisted that it was organizational policy to place the NGO logo at the head of any effort in which it was involved. The partnership champion engaged in a series of internal negotiations to point out that the partnership would only succeed if the issue being championed, a partnership to combat deforestation, was placed front and center, not the organizations behind the partnership. The partnership champion persuaded his colleagues so successfully that the NGO changed its own internal policy to allow for much more discretion in the use and placement of its organizational logo. So, yun. When the partnership pathway and the individual partner journeys converge and agreement can be made, then the partnership can move into the implementation phase. So partnership development pathway. The development pathway usually involves a series of meetings over time in which partners gradually develop, negotiate, and shape the partnership, stating wide, agreeing on overall vision, and understanding the resources they're able to bring to the issue, and then focusing down to get more and more specific and detailed, the exact objectives, activities, commitments, roles, and responsibilities of each partners. The plan should evolve iteratively, bringing in additional partners where there are gaps in resources. Depending on the complexity of the partnership and the number of partners, the meetings may involve anything from bilateral discussions to major multi-stakeholder dialogues requiring the support of a partnership facilitator. In reality, for partnerships involving many partners, there will often be a core group of partners that drive progress forward initially, bringing in additional partners over time. So pwede pala yun, no? Let's say at start, dalawa lang kayo, tapos may naisip kayo na pwedeng ma-partner yun na makatulong ninyo in terms of, let's say for example, other monetary resources. If you needed one, yun, pwede yun idagdag, no? At saka mga other organizations probably makapagbigay ng mga let's say free na devices. Yun, pwede yun. Then, setting out at the beginning the clear process along with the agreed set of principles and expected behaviors when partnering will significantly smooth and speed the partnership formation. If well managed, the development process should involve ratcheting up the quality of relationship, engagement, commitment, and agreement among the partners over time, maximizing the creation of value and putting in place the building blocks of effective partnerships. So, individual partner journeys. So, each partner will undertake its own internal journey to get a point where it is ready to commit to the partnership. This might include, for example, ito una, assessing the strategic benefits it hopes to gain and the resources it must invest. Undertaking due diligence of the other partners. So, check kung ano ba lahat, totoo ba tong ano ba talaga motibo ng ibang partner, no? Yung mission, yung vision nila, at ano yung maibibigay nila, ano din yung makukuha nila. And usually, ano yun, may mga goals, bawat organizations, may mga goals yan, yun yung tina-target nila. Okay, next is understanding and sufficiently mitigate any risks. So, yun. Risk, hindi talaga, meron talagang risk. So, dapat, ano, no, ma-understand yun at saka ma-mitigate. Ibig sabihin na ma-mitigate, ano siya, malilesen. Like, for example, kung sakali, ano tayo, sitwasyon sa road, nasiraan yung sasakyan. So, ano yan, pag wala kang ilalagay before sa sasakyan na parang warning sign, delikado yan, pwede maka-create ng accident. So, it's mitigating the risk. Building up the internal case, yun, paglalagay ng ano pala, paglalagay ng mga signs, yun, ano yun, mitigating risk. Building up the internal case for engagement, securing internal resources, get management, and legal sign off. Yan yung ano, na mapirmahan yung commitment. So that's it. And next would be about interplay between organizational partnership and journeys. So okay, if you're acting as a partnership manager for your organization, here in our in our in our extension, for our extension, we have the setup would be there's a project leader now, and we also have our what you call this one, our unit head for the extension. And with regards to internationalization, we have the focal person. I'm the focal person for the partnership for international affairs. No? The development of the partnership will necessarily be a complex interplay between the external negotiation with the partners and the internal negotiation within their own organization as represented by the arrows in the diagram. So where is that diagram? Let's see. Experience suggests that proportionally much more time and effort is spent on internal negotiations within organizations than in the discussions with partners. So if you find yourself spending a lot of time focused internally, it should not come as a surprise. Yun, it should not come as a surprise kasi mas mahirap daw yung ano, mas matagal, no? At saka magkaroon ng more time at saka effort sa internal, no? Compared sa external. If you're working within a large organization, there's likely to be a lot of work required to solve the idea of partnership to your colleagues, particularly if your own organization does not have systems and processes in place to support the development and management of partnerships. See, is your organization equipped to partner? That's a question. In our case, we really need to partner because with that we could achieve our vision, no, our vision, also our goals, and also the services that we have, like we provide research, extension, instruction, and production. So if we could partner, especially with other different agencies in the government, probably for funding, we could have that, and everything else. No, it could help. It could help get the realization of the goals and probably achievement of that particular vision. For example, let's continue. For example, you may have to bring your senior leadership along with you And they may be less interested in the details of the partnership, even though those small details may be essential to other partners. Or you may have to persuade your legal or procurement teams that a partnership is worth taking a non-standard approach, or your colleagues in communications and marketing may insist in certain placement of your organizational logo, which you know will be inappropriate for your partner organizations. These internal discussions or navigation of internal politics will vary according to your internal organizational culture and decision-making process. You may be operating in a culture that recognizes, incentivizes, and celebrates partnership approaches, and not only allows but positively encourages flexibility and risk taking. Or you may be in an organization that is, in principle, supportive of partnerships, but in practice does not provide the internal space or flexibility needed to work collaboratively with external actors. In the best case, you'll be able to demonstrate strong alignment between your organization's strategic objectives and those identified with the partnership. In this case, significant organizational resources will become available to you in order to help make the partnership a success. So we have internal alignment in practice. During a recent evaluation of a large partnership, the tiny internal team that was leading on it seemed to be achieving far more than could reasonably be expected from the tiny staff team. The team leader said, matter of factly, well, of course, our executive director supports us, and our fundraising team writes us into bids, and the legal team knows that we're up to everyone knows this partnership and why it's important. Next, taking a systematic approach. Appreciating that the pace of the individual partner journeys often slows down the partnership development, we recommend all partners to take a systematic approach to navigate and accelerate their own journeys. For example, through the use of Tool 3, Internal Perspective Partnership Assessment, page 82. This tool allows an organization to continuously assess where they are along their partnership journey and what specific issues like risk, internal commitment, due diligence still needs to be resolved, as well as quickly identifying deal breakers that mean a partnership should not take place. If all partners use the tool, they can compare notes and clearly see where they all stand at each partnership meetings and support each other in helping to move faster along their journeys. So we really need to get that particular tool. As of now, we could not see that here, the tool on the page. Okay, next, just get going. In many cases where the case for partnering is overwhelming or there is a reason for urgency, it will be entirely appropriate not to wait for all partners to have completed their organizational journeys or for the partnership to have completed its development pathway, and instead to simply get going and start delivering together. This does not mean that the journeys can be ignored, that the building blocks do not need to be put in place, or that a partnership agreement is not required. Rather, that they can be completed at the same time as the partnership is delivering in earnest, building the plane while flying it. Indeed, in general, it is important not to end up over designing partnerships, but better to start small, learn from the experiences of working together, and evolve and iterate as you go, always with a clear, shared, end goal in mind. This one, shared end goal in mind. It is important for all partners to appreciate from the beginning that partnering is rarely plain sailing. It is entirely typical in partnerships for there to be moments of tensions among partners and for the partnership to feel messy and uncomfortable from time to time. Yes, that's true. If handled well, that is normal and healthy. That's normal and healthy. The stronger the relationship among the partners and the greater the willingness to bring up and discuss issues, the easier it is to get through difficult periods. And partnerships will usually end up much stronger after sensitively working things through together as partners. Challenges may be particularly hard to deal with when the relationship is quite new and in the early implementation phase. Partnerships tend to follow a very similar cycle to the forming, storming, norming, performing model of group development. first proposed by Bruce Tuckman in 1965. A typical cycle of the level of engagement and productivity of a partnership shown below. The cyclical ups and downs will continue throughout a partnership. Be aware in advance of the natural rhythms that occur across the life cycle of partnerships. That is normal at times to feel frustrated or demoralized. Then it becomes much easier to take the steps and encourage the right behaviors and commitments that will take partnerships through the difficulties to a stage of high performance. So this is called the first one is the honeymoon period. So initial excitement, creative and innovative thinking and planning, senior leader attention, and launch publicity. So that's the honeymoon period. So this is the motivation, engagement, and productivity. And then it will drop. Okay, number two, failure. There's failure, loss of engagement and interest, all too difficult. Partners pull away. There's a failure. So number two, rubber hits the road. So implementation challenges become evident. Difficult management, slow pace of progress, frustration from the organizational culture differences, internal pushback, some disengagement from partners, not seeing value being created. And then after that, so this line here, this is the failure. So there will be loss of engagement and interest, all too difficult, partners pull away. So there's a failure that happens in the partnership. But so it's just okay, and that's the it will really drop, no? Then after that, we have building up. So partners begin to understand each other better. Yan. Some quick wins demonstrate progress. Management systems settle in. Building blocks of effective partnerships put in place. So naging ano na siya, strong. So it moves up. Yun, ito na yung building up, yung color ano to, orange. Parang color orange. Ito yung ano rubber hits the road. Ano siya, it goes down. And if hindi siya magbi-build up, magkakaroon ng failure. So this is also applicable in other areas in our life. We're in at start honeymoon, we're very excited, we're very engaged, and we're very productive. But then something is going on, uh, it goes down. And probably if you will stop, if you lose engagement and interest, it leads to failure. And especially if it's too difficult, and yeah, the partnerships, your goal, it will also end as failure. But then if there's building up here, the color orange, until you can have this number four, which is performance. By the way, this is the x-axis, this is our time continuum. The y-axis is the motivation, engagement, and productivity. So let's go back to number four. Number four would be the performance. Partnership find its rhythm, system and process working effectively, strong engagement and relationship among partners, then delivery is effective. So that's why guys, ano siya, pag magkaroon tayo ng partner, ano siya, huwag susuko para hindi mag-fail kasi ano yan, after rubber hits the road, magkaroon ng building up, then magkaroon ng performance. So magandang ano magandang ano ito. Itong diagram na ito na pre-produce ni pre-produced na proposed ni Bruce Tuckman, forming, storming, norming, and performing. So forming pagba-start, tapos storming ito yung may problema, nagka-problema, nawalan na ng gana dahil sa mga storm na nangyari in this one. Ito yung rubber hits the road. Then norming, building up, and then performance is performing. So magandang typical cycle of level of engagement and productivity. Yeah, so I hope you like that. So thank you, and I hope you learned something. It's quite long, and I hope you learned something today. Let's remember learning is lifetime. Bye.